Hi everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today. Today I wanted to share with you some of our very favorite kosher for Passover treats that we like to enjoy either on a Saturday night or right after the Chag ends. These treats are very quick to make and we really do enjoy them, and I hope that you do too. Now let's get into the video. To start off, I'll be sharing with you how I make these Matzah Fritters with scallion. They are so delicious. They're super great and very easy to whip up. And these are the ingredients that I'll be using. Here I have 2 sheets of matzahs, 2 sticks of scallions, a handful of shredded mozzarella, 2 eggs, and a bit of water just to soften up the matzah, salt, pepper, and garlic powder. And those are all the ingredients that you'll need. So I take these matzahs and I crack them into little bite-sized pieces, and then I put about 4 to 5 tablespoons of water right over the top just to soften everything up. I then add in a handful of shredded mozzarella or any kind of cheese that you prefer. I add in this 2 sticks of scallions that I have sliced up thinly, as well as the 2 eggs that I have beaten. I mix everything well and season it with some garlic powder, salt, and pepper. I then take a pan, add in about 3 to 4 tablespoons of oil, heat it up, and then add in about a tablespoon of the filling at a time. I brown them on each side for about 1.5 minutes until they're nice and golden. These were such a great hit. They're nice and cheesy and full of flavor. Next up, I'll be sharing with you how I make these oven fries. They're nice and crispy and they're so full of flavor with the garlic and the herbs that you put over the top. So to start off, I'm going to be taking these potatoes and peeling them. I usually prefer to have Idaho potatoes. I just feel like they crispen up much better than the red skin potatoes, but this is what I had on hand, so that's what I'll be using now. After I peel everything, I give everything a very good wash and slice the potatoes into wedges. I place the wedges into a baking tray and season it with some salt, black pepper, and garlic powder, and I drizzle on some vegetable or olive oil or any kind of oil to your liking. I mix everything really well, align them in a single layer so that they can have the most optimal way of crisping up in the oven, and I place them into a preheated 475-degree oven until they're nice and crispy on one side. While the fries are baking in the oven, I get ready on my garlic and herbs. I have about 4 garlic cloves here, 4 to 5, and then I have some cilantro. You can also use dill or you could use parsley if you're not a fan of cilantro. I basically just chop up the cilantro and mince the garlic so that it could be ready to put onto the hot potatoes when they're done. And this is what the gorgeous potatoes look like now that they are crispened up on the top. I then use a spatula and try to shift around the potatoes so that the bottoms get crispened up. I place them back into the oven for an additional 5 to 7 minutes until they're nice and crispy. Now the potatoes are all nice and ready, and I proceed to add in all of the garlic and cilantro that I have prepared. Give everything a good mix and place it back into the oven until you start smelling that delicious garlic aroma. These come out perfectly. They're gorgeous, crispy, garlicky, and just amazing. right before Passover, I started getting into making blooming onions at home with some flour and Panko Crumbs, and I really wanted to recreate that for Passover. So over here we have some cake meal, some Panko Crumbs, and about 2 to 3 eggs. I season each bowl with some salt, black pepper, and garlic powder, and the key is to dredge it in the cake meal first, then the egg, and then the Panko Crumbs, and that's going to give it that perfectly great and crispy crust. I'm going to be preparing my onions. The onions has 2 separate parts to it. One is very hairy and the other one is different. So just cut off that different part and clean the onion really well. That hairy part is what's going to be holding the onion together. You can slice the onion in one of 2 ways. You could use this device or you can just use a regular knife. And I prefer to do as many slices as I possibly can, but be very careful not to go all the way through the onion so that the onion doesn't fall apart on you. The more sections to the onions you'll make, the more crispier the onions will be. So just make as many as you like. Once you've cut your onions to your liking, then spread out all of the layers so that all of the coating can get inside of the nooks and crannies to give it that optimal crispiness. Now that I've separated all of the layers, I place the onion into the cake meal and I quickly realized that this bowl is way too small for what I'm about to do. So I quickly transfer everything over into a larger bowl and I just dredge the entire onion with the cake meal, trying to get into the nooks and crannies. And after everything has been dredged, I shake the excess off and place the egg mixture right over the top and get it nice and coated as well. For the last step, I place the Panko Crumbs all over the top and get it into all the nooks and crannies as well. If you don't have cake meal, you can definitely use matzah meal for this. Now that the onions have both been dredged really well, I place them into a hot pot filled with a generous amount of oil and fry them up. It is going to take about 5 to 10 minutes until the onion is perfectly crispy. The bottom half of the onion is ready and it's time to flip it over because I did not have the right amount of oil in this pot. If you do fill your pot very generously, then you will not have to flip it. But I don't mind flipping the onion, and now it is perfectly ready, nice and crispy and golden. It was such a great hit. Here I'm placing in the second onion to fry up, and as I'm placing it in, I'm just separating all of the layers just to make sure that it has the most perfect way of crisping up. I find that the best way to keep the onions crispy is to place them onto a cooling rack, but because it's Passover, I don't have one just yet, so I placed it on this aluminum tin pan, but it was still fine and still very delicious. Now I'm going to be making my feta cheese salad, and this is the homemade dressing that I make. I use about half a cup of mayonnaise, a squeeze of half a lemon, one minced garlic clove that I mix really well with some salt and black pepper. I give everything a good mix and I place that all over the salad. The salad I have is with lettuce, peppers, cherry tomatoes, and cucumbers. I place a nice amount of cheese right over the top and I drizzle it with the dressing. I mix everything well and top it off with some more feta cheese because it's just more delicious that way. Of course, I had to include matzah pizzas in this video because who doesn't have matzah pizzas on Passover? My sister-in-law made these pizzas. They are made with some soft doughed matzahs that I'll show you in just a little bit. And this is the box that we use. This is the matzahs. It's nice and soft and it makes for the perfect pizza, and we made it in 2 different ways. So my sister-in-law made a plain one and then one with some jalapenos and feta cheese. Well, this is a typical fun night on Passover for us, that when we want to have something light and delicious, these are the perfect recipes that we make in our family. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave me a big thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe if you are new. Happy Passover from my family to yours.